and welcome to Best Laid Plans. This is your host, Sarah Hart-Unger, and this is a podcast where we talk all things planning and planning adjacent. This might be a bit of a chattier episode today. I think I've discussed before that sometimes I write more detailed notes for my episodes, and other times I just kind of make a list and then wing it. And today is one of those make a list and then wing it types of episodes. So I can imagine I might go off on a few more tangents than I usually do, but I've gotten some feedback that you guys really like that. I also got really positive feedback on the episode where I planned my week kind of live during the episode. And so I definitely hope to do more of those types of episodes going forward. I will do a planning my month of May with you guys. It's a little bit late to do a planning my spring, but I don't know, I could throw that in there as well. And I have lots of amazing Q&As built up in my inbox right now. So a Q&A episode will be coming your way likely next week. I am also open to suggestions. I know I've gotten a handful of new listeners, especially since I appeared on Cal Newport's podcast last month now. I hope some of you stick around. It kind of looks like some of you are. Welcome. If you have not kind of listened to some of my back catalog or know what my system looks like, this episode might be a really fun one for you, as I'm going to delve into several aspects of my planning system that might be a little bit unusual, but that are working really well for me. So we will dive into that content. But first, I'm going to admit that I might sound a little bit different because I'm recording really early in the morning. Fun fact, I don't think my voice is 100% at its best early, so I try to record kind of like midday or the afternoon most of the time, sometimes in the morning, like 10 or so, but not usually at 7 a.m., which is when I am coming at you right now because we are headed to Disney World. So by the time you listen to this episode, we will have already gotten back. Hopefully the trip went really well, but since I knew I was going to be away on the Monday when I usually do my recordings, I am coming at you a little bit early. Which does remind me, I will kick today's episode off with a question that I got around Disney planning before we get into the meat of the episode, because someone emailed me and just asked about how we do plan our Disney vacation and whether we use a planner. I know it is very popular and common to hire a Disney specialist planner, as this can be done for free, especially if you're staying at one of the Disney resorts, but we've actually never done that. So again, for any listener that is new, we live in South Florida. So Disney is not, I don't know, it just doesn't have quite the like novelty or scarcity effect on us that it might have on someone who lives a little bit farther away. Like it seems like it's always accessible. And so I guess maybe we don't treat our trips with the reverence that many people do, although I totally understand why people do, especially because it is extremely expensive. There are discounted rates for Florida residents. If you're a Florida resident listening and you didn't know that, then you're welcome. But it's true. I mean, I can see why people put a lot of effort into maximizing their time there, but we've just never been Disney maximizers. You can also add that to the fact that I don't like really fast, scary rides. Like, I joke that like Slinky Dog Dash is my level of roller coaster that I enjoy. So I'm not saying I won't go on anything, but I'm probably not going on anything that's advertising a lot of thrill factor, especially since my cardiac event, because I mean, I get in line and I see all those signs that talk about heart conditions, and then that like sets off my actual heart condition. And I'm like, why am I doing this? So because I don't necessarily want to go on some of the more popular rides, which tend to be the kind of faster ones, and that's the same for most of my kids as well. Yeah, we just haven't felt like we have to be first out of the gate or, I don't know, trying to get on every ride, which I know is something that people love to do. And if you love that, I am not knocking it whatsoever. It just hasn't been our style. So what I tend to do is we do tend to stay at Disney resorts because that allows you to do dining reservations 60 days out from your first day of stay. And of course, I calculate that day and put it right in my planner. I think it's 7 a.m. that you can book. And so I do a little research the day before, and at 7, I go in and I get what I can get with the mindset that like, okay, I might not get the world's most popular thing, but I'll probably get some good stuff. And I feel like that was the case for this trip. Like, we have a party of 7. We got plenty of great dining reservations, character meals, etc. And then for the rides, we do use the Lightning Lane, which you can basically reserve your spot on certain rides. That's kind of the intermediate option for Disney. They also have a eye-wateringly expensive like Premier Pass now, but we did not want to spring for that. But for the Lightning Lane, you can book your rides about 7 days from your hotel stay. And once again, that date went in my planner. I had a discussion with my family and my sister about what everybody wanted. And then at 7, we went ahead and booked what we could book. and it worked out just fine. So yeah, I haven't sprung for a planner or done anything elaborate, but I guess my key has just been paying attention to what those dates are, making sure they're in my planner, and being prepared for when it's time to go ahead into that app and make your selections. Because if you haven't done the prep work and known what you're going to put in there, then it could be really, really stressful when the clock ticks 7 on that day. All right, so hopefully we've had an amazing trip. I don't know, you can look on my website, theshoebox.com, and see some recaps. Hopefully it was great. But that is not the topic for today. That was just a little taste of what's going on in my life right now. We are going to go through planner piece, Sarah style, I guess, 10 tactics working for me right now. And this episode is especially for those of you who might be, I don't know, not finding total peace in your system right now. Historically, the spring is often when I've been like, I got to abandon this planner. It's not working for me. I have zero pull to do that this year. I don't know if it's because this year just hasn't had some crazy event like last year had with my medical stuff, or 2020 or things like that, or if I've just found a system that works really, really well for me. But I figured that since we are in this nice stable spot, why don't I go through some of the things that are working so well? And as I said, this is also a great episode for new listeners or people who haven't listened in a while, because I just go through a lot of the tactics that I'm doing all the time, but not necessarily talking about all the time. All right. The first one is that I have developed quite a streamlined but detailed morning audit routine. And actually, someone called me out on this because I got an email that was something like, you said you don't look at your phone in the morning, but you said you also write down your screen time and you write down your workout and your steps and things like that. And how would you be able to do that if you're not looking at your phone? So you're right. I absolutely reference my phone. So I'm not like entirely digital free. I just don't like open any apps or look at email or scroll or search for any sort of inputs. I'm just auditing the things I want to look at. And I record this into my planning universe. This helps me keep various habits on track. It's really satisfying to look back on. And I honestly just find it kind of fun and a nice calming way to start my day and start fresh with a new day. So the things that I audit and write down every single morning include my screen time stats, and I'll get into the app I'm still using for that in a little bit, various nutritional stats, I'll get into that as well, how long I slept. I put my workouts, like just a summary of them, like on this little workout calendar that I have. I'll make sure that I've added anything that I read or watched to a little media calendar that I'm keeping. And I have been, for the first time in many years, consistently marking my daily habits on the yearly spread of the Hobonichi. And I will include photos on my website. I know this should be a video, but if you do want a visual aid, go to theshoebox.com and look for the show notes for today's episode, and you will see shots of what these spreads look like in my planner. The habits that I track on a daily basis are meditation, whether I've taken a walk outside, whether I've read anything, listened to music, and whether I did my Duolingo language app. And so those fit really neatly into the annual tracking pages in the Hobonichi, where each of them, if I did it, it just gets a little dot. I've been color coding the dots based on the color of the month for Hobonichi. So anyway, all of this is a little bit superfluous, but it's also really fun and kind of motivating. And I feel like I've, as a result, been better about sticking to various habits, even though we are, into Q2 when a lot of these things start to lose their novelty. So I'm really happy. I feel like this audit is working for me. It sounds like a lot of stuff. It does not take very long. And I think that's because I'm used to doing it. I'm used to doing it kind of in a specific order. I check my steps, I check my screen time, etc. I would say it takes 5 to 10 minutes, and it's pretty much all captured into Hobonichi planners, either my Hobonichi weeks, which I'm going to talk about in a second, or within my Hobonichi cousin, I have like a second, I think I told you guys, I'm using a day free next to my cousin Avec. So sorry, just a little background. The cousin Avec has 6 months worth of planner pages, and I keep all my daily pages there. But then the day free is basically just a blank notebook. These are both slim enough that they fit into one cover. And so I found this combo to actually work really, really well, where the day free is to keep various collections and lists. It's almost like a year-long bullet journal and kind of record keeper. And then the planner is more just like what goes on day to day, my weekly schedule, my to-do list, etc. And so, yeah, that combo is working really well. And as I do my morning audit, that is where this stuff gets recorded. Again, if you want to see photos of this, just go to my website. All right. So all of that, I guess, comprises my tip number 1, and it's working very well for me. Tip number 2 is another morning thing that I started doing in, I think, November of 2025, which is that I had read Julia Cameron's The Artist Way, and I adapted the habit of starting to do morning pages. I don't think I do them exactly as she prescribes, and I do not follow all the other things in that book, although there are so many interesting ideas she presents. It's almost like a job in and of itself. But I do the morning pages, which is basically a brain dump into a very cute Midori Hibino notebook that I've been using almost, 4 or 5 months now. I miss an occasional day and I'll go back and put a sticker and a one-word entry there, but most days I do write in it. Takes about 15 minutes. I actually time it to make sure I'm not wasting my entire morning away writing in this notebook. But I just get all the cobwebs out of my head. And a lot of times there's a rant or it's a pep talk. I mean, it is embarrassing stuff, you guys. I cannot share pictures of that. You don't want to see it. I don't even want to see it. I don't plan on keeping this notebook. It's the process of doing it that is helping me, which is kind of what Julia Cameron says in her book. But yeah, the practice is really helpful for me. And all of this together. So all of this auditing and morning pages and actually creating my planner spread for the day, everything, I'm usually sitting at my desk for about 30 minutes doing that stuff, which absolutely is longer than I used to have in previous eras of my life when I had young kids. I couldn't necessarily spend that much time, but right now this does work for me and I really enjoy it. And then I often cap that off with a little bit of nonfiction reading and then I work out and then the day is started. So yeah, that is working for me. All right, the third thing, we're going to take a big pivot, but I'm going to take a quick break first and we will be right back. Today's episode is brought to you with support from IXL. It's that time of year again, the last push towards the end of the school year. I know my kids are super busy with so many spring activities, and there's the end of year standardized testing to look forward to as well. Whether you're a homeschooling parent or you want to provide some extra learning support for your child, IXL is a great tool, and this time of year is a wonderful time to try it out. My kids are using IXL and have been for years to learn and reinforce concepts, and I know it's made a positive impact on their learning. IXL can be used as enrichment, review, or part of a homeschool curriculum. Everything is organized by grade and subject, and you can quickly find what each child needs without juggling multiple resources. The interactive practice and clear explanations and feedback make it easy to reinforce learning as you prepare for end-of-year assessments or milestones. Make an impact on your child's learning, get IXL now. And Best Laid Plans listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/plans. Visit IXL.com/plans to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Mint Mobile. I don't know about you, but I like keeping my money where I can see it. Unfortunately, traditional big wireless carriers also seem to like keeping lots of money too. One of my close family members recently told me about how much she started saving once she switched to Mint Mobile. The price difference is huge, and the difference in service for her has been undetectable. You too can stop overpaying just because that's what you're used to, and get the financial benefit of switching today. At Mint Mobile, plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can bring your own phone and number and start saving immediately. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/BLP. That's mintmobile.com/BLP. Upfront payment of $45 for a 3-month, 5GB plan required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Today's episode is brought to you with support from Green Chef. I think we've all seen those big promises from big diet trends. The idea that there's one quick fix that's going to change everything overnight. And while some approaches can work for a while, they are generally not so sustainable long term. That's why I really appreciate what Green Chef does. Where fad diets fail, Green Chef delivers real food and recipes that actually make healthy eating easier and help the habit last. Each week, you get access to over 40 recipes made with organic produce, responsibly sourced proteins, and ingredients you can actually recognize. You can pick what works for you, Mediterranean, high protein, or their new longevity line focused on brain and gut health. One of my favorite things is just how excited everyone gets for dinner when it's a Green Chef week. It feels like we're eating something a little more special without a ton of extra effort. Plus, they now even offer free one-on-one nutrition coaching, which is such a nice bonus if you're looking for extra support to stay on track. I definitely recommend giving it a try, especially if you're in your spring busy season. Head to greenchef.com/50bestlaid and use code 50bestlaid to get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months. That's code 50bestlaid at greenchef.com/50bestlaid. All right, so the third planner piece tidbit that is working for me right now is something that Laura Vanderkam talked about, which is a framework for saying yes. So I actually brought up to her, and I've used this example like 20 times now. So you guys all know that I am going on a slightly ridiculous trip just to see some college friends and perform in an a cappella concert in a couple of weeks. But when I got the invite to do that, it seemed entirely impractical. Like, how am I going to do that? I really want to, but it's such a pain. I shouldn't do it. But I found myself that I wanted to do it, but I was sort of talking myself out of it. And the converse is when you feel like you should do something, you don't want to, and you're talking yourself into it. That is a very interesting framework for whether you should say yes. And Laura Vanderkam, my podcasting partner for Best of Both Worlds and time management expert, and by the way, she has a new book coming out called Big Time, which is really awesome. I have read it. I highly recommend it. And you should pre-order because it's great. Anyway, she says that if you find that you want to do something, but you're like talking yourself out of it due to logistics, you should do it. And the corollary is if you feel like you should do something because it's really not that hard, but you're like talking yourself into it, you should not do it. So I think that's just super interesting. And I have noticed that when I use that framework, I do feel like yes comes up more often than no. I think I joked on a prior episode that I'm having my own year of yes, Shonda Rhimes style. And maybe that's a little bit true. And so far, it's working really well. So I guess generally saying yes and applying the talking yourself into it versus out of it framework to decisions is working for me as well. So that's a little bit more meta than these planning tactics. All right. Number 4. This is a kind of big one as well. I have allowed myself this year to be more systematic about health and fitness than I was previously. Now, you guys know my background. I was a marathon runner. I loved tracking my running. I would hire a coach and have these elaborate training plans and pay attention to my splits and getting faster and race times, etc. And I have nothing to scratch that itch anymore. So I do think a lot of this is reactionary to me really missing that. But I mean, whatever works, right? I have found I'm now in my mid-40s, about to go, not getting any younger here. And I also have limitations about what I can do from a cardio perspective. So I realized that I wanted to get really, really purposeful about my nutrition and my fitness so that I can really do the best I can with this body that I have to work with. And so I decided to start using an app for macro tracking and nutrition tracking. I've never done that before. I used to just write down kind of from a more holistic perspective what I ate, but this is a lot more specific and I really, really like it. I thought maybe it would make me a little bit crazy, but actually I found the opposite. The one I have chosen to use is called Cal AI. And although after discussing with multiple people who use apps like this, I think an even better one is something called Macro Factor. But anyway, I've been using it and it's been super helpful. And then I record my stats from there into my Hobonichi Weeks, which has become my little hub for all things health and fitness related. You guys, longtime listeners know that I often buy a Hobonichi Weeks and then struggle to find a purpose for it. I write in my weeks every single day. I put stuff about my mood. I put stuff about my workouts. I write down my macros, the hours of sleep, etc. So this is working super well for me. And I just feel like just letting myself be a little bit more systematic than I had in the past has been really, really helpful. Similarly, I've been using Apple Notes to track the weights I lift during my workouts. I've been working my way through the Caroline Girvan Iron series. I started in January with round 1. I did the whole series and now I'm just repeating it. And the coolest thing is I've been tracking in Apple Notes. So every time I do it, I kind of open up a note stock and I write, okay, I just pulled mine up. Okay, Caroline Girvan, number 21. It'll say squat to press, and then it'll list the reps and the weights that I did. And the cool thing about doing round 2 is I can just copy and paste. And then that encourages me to see, oh, you know what? I lifted 17 pounds last time. Maybe I can try 20 pounds this time. And so I'm much more able to follow my progression than I ever was in the past. That is so motivating. It's so fun. And I'm just really, really enjoying it. So yeah, I would say this item is just about being more systematic about health and fitness, using apps, tracking steps, but also using my Hobonichi Weeks to keep all of that data together. All right, what number are we up to? I think number 5. Number 5 is planning my date nights and any kind of social meetup on the monthly level. I've talked about this before, but it's just working so well for me. I will admit in March, we only got one date night in. It was kind of a wild month. And I did do a lot of stuff with friends. So it's not that I didn't do anything. It's just my husband and I only had one official date night. But we had 2 in January. We had 2 in February. I plan on keeping things going strong for the upcoming months. And the only reason this has worked is for that ritual of sitting at the beginning of the month and figuring out where they fit. And we hold things loosely. We've moved things before, but it's still better to have a scaffold and idea in mind versus kind of like, oh, wow, the month went by and this didn't happen. And I just find that for social things, having the lead time of a few weeks when you're looking at a monthly calendar as a whole is just really a fantastic time frame for planning these kinds of things in. So if you are struggling to get social stuff into your life, and I know last week's episode, we talked a lot with our wonderful guest, September, about how she does this in a very systematic way, looking at the month is probably a great way to get started. All right, number 6. I had this as a goal on my 2026 goals list, and that was to abandon books. And you guys, I've abandoned some books. I'm so proud of myself. It really does help you read more. The thing that has helped me abandon books is a mindset, and this is like possibly a little nuts. I don't know. But if I feel like I have to put the book down forever, I really struggle to do it. Like, I started this and I should get credit and I want to finish it. But if I tell myself, you know what? I'm just abandoning it for now with just leaving things open-ended, because I actually have picked up books before that I abandoned previously and then finished them or liked them. And then sometimes I don't. But when I leave that window open, it somehow it goes down so much easier. And so in March, I think I started 3 novels, and you know what? 2 of them I'm not finishing right now, but I might finish them later. And yet now I have a novel that I really like that I'm plowing through, because that's what happens when you like a book. And if you don't like a book and you're stuck on a book, you will not read. So at least that is my experience. I am just very happy to have finally embraced abandoning books. If it helps you, try abandoning them for now instead of telling yourself that you're leaving this book behind forever. It might mean you're leaving it behind forever, but I just think this reframe can be helpful for some of us who just feel unsatisfied with leaving something unfinished. All right. The next one is being a little bit more flexible about my daily habits when I can. There was a time in my life when I felt like if I didn't get my workout in the morning, there was 0 chance it could happen later, or my walk, or even like Duolingo. But there's really like no reason I can't do those things in the evening. And we're going to get to the evenings in a second. And so I have taken some evening walks and they've been absolutely delightful. So I guess just getting out of my head about like, oh, this habit needs to happen at this time or else it won't happen. Questioning those assumptions, even though those are just assumptions for myself, that's been really helpful for me. So that's number 7, I believe, being more flexible about habits when I can, which is often. Number 8 is hiring out an organizer when I struggled to organize my house. Now, is my entire house organized? No, absolutely not. But do I have so much more done than I would have if I didn't have someone that came to my house? And by the way, she's only come, I think, 3 times now. And so it's not like it's been some huge outlay of time or expense. We spend about 3 hours when she comes. But I mean, I know that there's 0 chance that during those 3 hours I would have been organizing. Plus, there's the fact that she helps me so things go quicker. She kind of knows what she's doing. She can lead me in the right direction. I am just so happy that I got some assistance with this. Obviously, it wasn't free, but it's been worth every penny and has not been nearly as exorbitant as I was talking up the concept of having an organizer help me to declutter. So if this is something you are on the fence about, even if you just need help to get started, I highly recommend looking to see if there's someone in your area who might want to do things with you, or maybe a virtual solution. I know many people have had great luck with like Dana K. White's stuff. Of course, Lisa Woodruff has some amazing resources as well. But for me, working with someone in person and having to answer the door and then be tied to actually doing it for a few hours that I've set aside to do it has been just incredibly effective. So I'm just very glad I finally did that. And by the way, many of you listeners told me to do that a long time ago, and it took me this long to agree. So thank you. All right. I think we're at number 9. That is the Opal app. And I mentioned this a few months ago, but I just haven't brought it up in a while. But I do use Opal to help control my screen time. Do I still have days where I spend more time on my phone than I would like? Absolutely. Yesterday, I don't know, I had a lot of texts. I was distracted. So it's not perfect, but there is this blocking feature where it forces you to pause when you are opening your phone. And it has just greatly, I don't know why a 5-second delay in terms of like opening your apps would make it so much less appealing to check your Gmail or your WhatsApp or whatever, but it absolutely does. Like I'll just remember that Opal's on and be like, yeah, I don't need to do that. And that is gold. Plus, I love how the screen time tracking for Opal can be set to exclude certain things. You guys know I always would get very mad using Google Maps when I was trying to stick to a number of screen time minutes. And then it was like, oh, you're on for 3 hours, but I was navigating. Okay. Well, now that is not a problem anymore because I can just set that to neutral using Opal and I can get accurate screen time stats so that on days I really am having a scroll fest, I can call myself out. But on days when I'm just driving a lot, I don't have to include those minutes. So it's been great. I do have the paid version. I'm going to be honest. A lot of people are like, well, what's different in the paid version? I'm not sure. I also will say that I accidentally got the paid version. So please be careful when you're signing up for Opal if you're just trying to sign up for the free version, because I don't think it was entirely clear. But because I really do like the app and it wasn't expensive, I've just embraced it. So I do plan on continuing as of now. And then finally, the last thing, and I've mentioned this before, number 10 is that I continue to track pretty much all of my media, meaning if I watch a TV show, if I listen to a podcast, if I read a book, that just goes into my daily planner page. It's like a habit. I think I'm as used to doing that as some people are to like tracking time or billable hours, etc. And I just like really enjoy having a record of what I've watched. It makes it kind of like almost more fun, like it gamifies watching TV in a way. It helps me figure out when I need to abandon a book when I have barely been reading. It's a clue, okay? Or like 3 pages a day. That means it's a book that I need to move on from. But I do track my media every day. I track the music that I listen to, well, within reason. It's not like I track every single song, but if my kid puts Tate McRae on the way to school, then I will write that that's what we listen to on the way to school. It all fits on my daily page. I just find it a lot of fun. As you guys know, I don't keep this as an archival document of my life. I don't plan on keeping it, but the act of tracking it and being able to flip through it while I'm on that particular volume is a lot of fun. So there you have it, 10 planning or planning adjacent tactics that are working really well for me this year as we head in and round the bend to quarter 2 or quintile 2 of 2026. I hope that you have found lots of planner piece tactic as well. I know that I've gotten a few of them in my inbox. If you are overdue to get a response from me because you've sent me a question, I will be getting back to you soon. I am in one of those. My email's not terrible. I think there's only like 30 emails, but almost all of them are awesome questions from you guys, and I want to make sure that I address all of them. Some of them have been about courses, by the way. And yes, Best Laid Plans Academy 2.0, it may have been released by the time this episode comes out, to be honest, because I'm hoping to get it out in the first week of April. And I know this episode airs on the first Monday of April. Make sure that you are signed up for my newsletter. But if you missed the newsletter drop, which might have been a few days prior to this episode airing, you can get all the course information by the time this episode airs on theshoebox.com/courses. I have decided to make the first round of Best Laid Plans Academy 2.0 a summer course. I just feel like many of us in that May-December era are not going to have room to do it justice, but the summer does slow down for many of us with kids. And I think it will be a wonderful time for those who are looking to reset their systems to get it going. As I mentioned, this is a new revamped Best Laid Plans Academy. So we are going to be planning together, but I'm going to be teaching the planning tactics. So the first couple of sessions are all about managing your calendar, doing your task management, corralling your inputs, cleaning out your inboxes, all of that. And then we get into building your planning systems at every level from yearly to daily. I'm so excited. A lot of the material does kind of It's inspired by my book, but of course, in a course format, we're able to get a lot more individualized and more specific. So if you really want that kind of small group accountability, you'll have access to me via email. I'm going to have office hours this time, which is something new. So that if people have questions between sessions, they can reach me that way. Anyway, this is going to be a lot of fun. So if you're looking to revamp your planning systems over the summer, consider joining me in Best Laid Plans Academy 2.0. This will be the lowest price that I offer it because this is the pilot pilot session for BLPA 2.0. So yeah, you can find the information for that on my website, theshoebox.com/courses. All right, well, I'll be back next week with a Q&A because I got to give airtime to these amazing questions you have sent me. There is still time to get your question in. It's Sarah, it's my email, is my name, Sarah with an H, .hart, Hart.unger @gmail.com is the easiest way to reach me. Or you can leave a comment on Spotify. I know how to check those now, so I love seeing those. Or, of course, on my website, theshoebox.com, theshubox.com. Have a wonderful week, and I'll be back on the mic when I'm back from Disney World. Happy spring.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.